I guess for the first segment, I just want to talk about how people don't seem to understand how stimuli, is that the correct term? Like multiple stimuli. I like that term, so we're running with that. They don't know how those work, and it really shows how government can really dangle a carrot, let's say, in front of people, and not only will they abandon their principles, but more so abandon what it is that they even will. Let's say libertarians are getting this bad right now as well. Not all of them. Some of them seem to understand, but a lot of them don't. So let me start by saying this. When the government gives you money in the form of a stimulus, as it's doing again, it is not giving you your money back. And that's what a lot of folks say because they want to rationalize with cashing in on it. But if you want to cash in on the money, be honest and just say that that's what you want to do. But you're not getting your money back. That's not how it works. They don't even try, and this is the hilarious thing, they don't even try to, in there, whether it be in the coded language of the bills that they put out there, they don't even attempt to make it seem as if that's what it is that you're doing, or more so, that's what it is. What they're doing is that's giving you money that they had previously took from you in the form of taxation. That is not what a stimulus is. Bluntly putting it, the money that you're getting is stolen assets of unborn people, future generations. Let's say that to be just a tad bit more precise. That's the blunt way of putting it. The money that they took from you is gone. It's been gone. It's long gone. They, again, and more, we got to be precise with it because they don't try to present it as if they're giving you your money back, which is why they have these eligibility requirements. And those are not people that paid net, let's say, into income. In fact, most of the people that are going to be those that are eligible are the ones that had negative income. Like, with the first one, if you got like above, I can't remember what it was, 75 grand. We did a video going through that bill, the previous, the initial one, and how that bill, obviously it was a little different if you were joint filing, but as a single person over a certain amount, which obviously are the most of the net taxpayers, you're not even eligible to get that $1,200 that was available. So again, they don't even try to present it as if they are giving you your money back. No, what they are doing is selling. This is the evil of the central banking system, the evil of the Federal Reserve in combination with the Treasury, is that it allows them to monetize debt. And it's a classic government thing in which the government has an issue that they created here, right? It wasn't the virus that created these particular problems. It was the state that created these problems, where a lot of people are trying to, they need some sort of support. They're looking for support and some sort of help. That was caused by way of government action, positive government. By positive, I mean like they actually did something, not positive as it was like a good thing. No, as in they went out of their way to lock you down, to have these sort of restrictions that have resulted in the closing down of thousands of businesses, right? Not even like a dozen, right? We're talking thousands, even in just the restaurant business alone. Not because people wouldn't willingly go to these restaurants, though that could have been the case in some aspects, but we're talking about they got the rug pulled from under them because in a lot of cases it was illegal for them to operate. And for the most part, definitely with these restaurants, these indoor restaurants, a lot of their money is dependent on people dining in, right? So taking out, there's only so much they could do to stay afloat. In that regard, especially smaller businesses, and smaller restaurants, for example. So that was a government created problem. And as always, they make the problem worse. Because what's the easy solution, right? The easy solution is to simply do what you should have done months ago, which guys like this guy was on YouTube saying, don't do that, right? Don't lock it down. Don't put restrictions. Don't try to have this one size fits all where you have all of these age and health demographics being treated as if they're all sick, right? Though we're not, right? And it was a constant bait and switch, 15 days slow to spread, became wait until the vaccine became, no, we're just going to have to wear a mask forever and lock you down and social distance and all this other stuff. So as always, they make a problem worse. But it's an easy thing because, again, because a lot of folks are desperate right now. You, of course, are going to take the money. You, of course, are going to look at that as, hey, look at the government is giving me a little 600 fucking bucks, which I don't know what the hell you're gonna do with that after having your business derail. What the hell good is 600 bucks gonna do you there? But it's a carrot that they dangle in front of you. They get off with the loot. You know that there's going to be billions of dollars being put into sort of like the first one where you get people that don't even necessarily need it, and their lobbyists had lobbied for them to get a portion of the money. They'll sort of word it in this way of, all right, we're trying to help our unemployed our employees. We read about this with Gavin Newsom. And how, his businesses being eligible for certain grants, or not grants, because I do think it's some. Well, it depends. It depends. That was what the initial bill did. It really depended on how they spent that sort of money was going to determine whether or not it was a grant or whether it was actively a loan. Nonetheless, businesses that kind of were able to overcompensate and what they would have been spending, let's say employees, they got more of that, right? They got more than that. And that's what this is going to be, a lot of fluff, as all these bills are, where, that little $600, what is it, like a $900 billion? How much is I forget what the actual number was. In terms of the billions of dollars that are going to be spent, you can divide that. If you took your 600 bucks, for example, and you divided that among every single 300, let's say million some people, obviously you would get more than that if they were using all of the money to do that. But obviously that's not what they are doing. And on top of that, all of you aren't going to be eligible to get it, specifically those that I believe in previous incomes, I believe based on tax, like last year, which I don't even understand how that would even work, because that wouldn't do you any good this previous year. If you were end up to being unemployed, and let's say you had, I don't know why we're hearing that noise, but let's say that you had lost your job, and you end up making less than what you were the previous year when you had a job. $75,000 is now nothing. You may have been making above that. Now you don't even make half that because you lost your job, right? It's a lot of crookedness, but until people understand not necessarily how money works, because that's a rabbit hole that we've gone down long before, but it's not necessarily that you need to understand that. What you need to more so understand is how it's just a carrot being dangled and they get away with the loot. So with their criminal actions, which is exactly how they responded to this virus was, and I'm not saying criminal by, oh, well, let y'all sit on y'all ass and just give y'all money and print more money. No, that would have, again, that's the same thing that they had already done. The solution was to, well, we won't call it a solution. It was more of a preventative method. Don't lock people down that are not sick. Seemed pretty obvious that the virus, even before it got over here, we had the data coming in from Korea. I mean, even China, believe it or not, though, you cannot trust those numbers as far as what those numbers said about who the vulnerable demographic was. Those remain true, right? Those were, so they didn't lie about that part. They may have lied about the death total and stuff. But as far as who it impacted, that's the same numbers that we had saw virtually everywhere across the world. Yet that was what should have happened. Now, considering that they have already locked you down, now you're looking at, well, what is the solution? Well, it's a very simple solution. Let free people be free people. Let free people be free people. The solution isn't to give them a $600 carrot and say, hey, yeah, we locked you down for months. Here it is, $600 that's not going to do much for you, but here you go. And because you're stupid, you're going to get off our back. That's essentially how Congress and the state operates. It's simply not even them allowing you to go back to your lives, because I think that bridge is burned. There's none of that. It's more of, you're going to have to take that back. And it's more of a civil disobedience type of thing where people just tell the government to go fuck themselves, right? And that's when we get on the other side and we'll get back to this rebuilding. But what they do is they make the problem worse, and it may not show itself right now. But as your money continues to get devalued in this bubble that it's got to bust at some point, right? They are spending money that they do not have, and the deficit spending and deficit spending. They're piling up the debt, spending money that they don't have, monetizing assets of unborn people. That bubble has to pop at some point. It does. And the quicker we can get back to doing what it is that we do, the quicker we can, which is kind of separated and isolated from these issues, get the state out of the way of monopolizing money, the better off we're going to be once the bubble does pop. But that's not what it is that they want. Of course not. They instead want you to be dependent on them and let that, like, your livelihood have to be funneled through Congress. Your livelihood have to be funneled through the state, which is what they want. It ensures and legitimizes their positions. And because these damn sheep are too stupid to realize it, they'll eat it all up. Like, hey, look at Mr. or Mrs. Congresswoman that supports and loves me and cares about me. Last thing I want the state doing is caring about me. I prefer that they get the fuck out of my way. But going back to the original point, if you're going to cash in on it, don't try to make shit up. There's no reason to do that. Let's just call it what it is. The money that you're getting, the state isn't even pretending like they are giving you your money back. You're not getting your money back. The money that you were taxed is gone. What they are doing is taking a shit problem and making it worse. That's all they're doing. So if you're going to cash in on it, that's your business, right? Especially if you're struggling. But let's not sit here and pretend like, well, I'm just getting my money back. No, you're not. Your money's fucking gone. That shit's been gone. The money's it's long gone, long spent. What you're taking right now is assets of the unborn people. And it's the same kind of concept with Social Security, where a lot of folks rationalize with wanting to take that money. So they like to try to butter it up and pretend as if, well, it's our money. Why wouldn't we take it? Which I understand. Definitely if you're at of that age and you need that money. But the reality of the situation is the money that you're taking once you get on Social Security is not yours. They didn't store it in this little bank or deposit box or something like that where you go then cash out once you're older. That's not how Social Security works. It's the same concept. No, well, it's actually worse with that because what the current and future generations are subsidizing the older generations. That's really how Social Security works. The money's gone. It sucks, yes. And that's why I think that because we're sitting there having this tug of war match and a lot of people don't want to cut their losses. And this is why I had pivoted on this a couple of years ago. Even in talking about Social Security, I got way more blunt, not necessarily blunt. It's more rough around the edges with it. Let's say that. Because I have to call it what it is, because what I want people to understand is they have to cut their losses. If you want a better future, a more prosperous future, at some point, people have to cut their losses. And there's a bunch of irate individuals that just can't come to terms with that. Right? Well, you stole from me. I know they did. It sucks. But the government isn't a producer. There's nothing that they can give you which they first must not take away. Right? There's nothing. I might have worded that kind of funky. Long story short, everything that they give you, they take away from someone else. They're not a producer. At some point, people have to take their losses. That's the only way we get on the other side, not of just this pandemic, but on the other side of central banking systems and government pimping you. And people that work with the government understanding that that is a very lucrative career for them. This is why you can have people enter politics and 45 years later be millionaires. Because it's not about serving their fellow man. I know that's maybe the bullshit that they maybe, I don't know, put in the social studies books in your government indoctrination camps when you were K through 12 grade. But the losses got to be cut if we are to get on the other side of this. So the money that they stole from you, the money that they stole from me, it's one of those things where we have to sit here and be like, I'm not getting that shit back. I'm never going to see it because it's gone. So how can we work towards the future and ensure those future generations don't have to deal with this same bullshit? But it's par for the course for 2020, par for the course with government, where the can wants to get kicked down the road, so they'll make a big problem worse. The state being in control, or more so monopolizing money, and on their behalf, it was the genius thing to do. But obviously, for the sake of the people that are living within those geographical areas, it's one of the most criminal things to ever be done. Because if they control that, they control you. So hopefully we see what happens. But I don't. I'm less optimistic about this whole scenario when it comes to this pandemic and a response, because people don't get it. Republicans, they're too fucking stupid. Republicans had a golden opportunity, as an example. This is kind of deviating, I know. Had a golden opportunity to take a stab at a lot of these different systems, right? They could have took a stab at how the state's in control of money. They could have took a stab at the public school system, public education system. And what did they do? Sit here and advocate that kids be put right back in the indoctrination camps, instead of saying, okay, you bitch ass teachers unions, how about this? Fuck y'all. That was what they could have did, but that's not what they did, right? They're culturally inept and even politically inept, and this is why I never consider Republicans as my allies ever. But I'm less optimistic about it for various reasons. But until people understand that, and I guess that's my purpose, right? And the purpose of a lot of creators, in which they have to try to break this shit down for the common man to understand, because it's not in the government's best interest to have you understand that they're going to continue to steal from you. And so as long as you make exceptions for when it is allowable, when it is allowed, then they'll continue to kick the can down the road. And this is how you move from 15 days to slow the bird. 2020 is just really... it's representative of government. It's like everything government creating issues, all of that sort of shit, where they can lie, they can bait and switch, and low as they know they got you by the nutsack, they'll continue to do it, right? Because they know they got you by the nuts. And this is why when you gave them the inch, they were going to always take the mile. And when even some of y'all know the names in the chat were bitching at me for calling this shit out back in March, but you were so scared of this damn virus that you was like, what's the big deal? This is the government job. And I was sitting here telling y'all, like, no, bro, this is the time to remain most principled. You don't abandon the principles when it's difficult to hold them. No, you don't abandon them, because if you give them that inch, what do? They take the mile, and here we are, 15 days to slow the spread has now turned into wait for a vaccine. And now they're giving out vaccines, and they still have not allowed you to get on with your lives, because that was never on the table. You plan to rig the game. But most importantly, I need y'all to understand that the money that you get from the stimulus, if you're going to cash in on it, that's your business. But you're not getting your money back. Stop perpetuating this myth as if you are. They don't even pretend as if they are. Your money's gone.